on a very important topic, and that is how do we create and how do we define excellence in school education. We have on the panel with us Mr. Mohammad Hassan, we have Anita Das, Lieutenant Colonel Shekhar. Oh, sorry, Anita Dua. I think I need my spectacles probably. The light is also insufficient. Mr. Shivananda Koteshwar, oh, that's better. Mr. Henry Jayakaran, Mr. M.V. Krishnamachari, Dr. Rajiv Kumar Chauhan, Shanti Menon, Mr. Sunit Srivastava will be joining us soon, Kavita Das, Anirudh Gupta, Mr. Virendra Rawat, Mr. Stephen Rudolph, and Colonel Gaur, who is from the Manav Rachna Foundation, will also be with us today. So I think as we are very short-strapped for time, it's my request to everybody that as this is a roundtable discussion, it's more about exchange of ideas and thoughts rather than presentation. So if each one could speak maybe for 2 minutes so that we have a dialogue going, a dynamic dialogue amongst us. Now, excellence in school education has become the buzzword today and unfortunately very often used in a very cliched term. And I hope that during our discussion now we are able to give it some kind of a practical definition that will be applicable in the real world. Can we start off? Maybe Anita, would you like to start the discussion and set the ball rolling for all of us? So I have to make amends for not allowing your PPT. So I'd really be happy to hear your thoughts.
Ma'am, a grader needs only a paper and a paper to write on. And since we are talking on excellence, I rather have prepared, which actually is, I'll just give you a thought. Since we have no choice with the children that we give them, we have these all kind of curriculum going on. And the child doesn't have a choice about why he has to study. He just has to say how I have to do this. What can I do? Should I start with project-based learning? Should I have 21st century learning? Should I have something called a STEM education in my school? How do I help this child who's wondering, how do I say that how do I have to solve these sums? How do I relate these sums to my daily life? How is it the science is a language which I will use it to invent and excel over there? So these are the questions. So the principal goes to the teacher and tells the teacher, here are your students and you please become now a mentor rather than a teacher. So the teacher has a well-defined roles and we are all investing a lot of equipments, bringing it to the classroom. The child has a laptop, the child has an iPad, the child has a tablet, the child has a Google answer to every question. He has research engines to look up to. He has these blogs where he, sort of connects himself and spends time. But what is missing is the data where the teacher can work upon. So there's a small little clipping.
Maybe we can see it right at the end when we have a little time.
Sure.
And I would ask Colonel Shekhar now if you could take on from there that she's brought up a very important aspect that most principals and teachers face. So how would you now take this forward towards the goal of excellence?
Should be contextual. A student in lay being able to score quote unquote 70% in an examination system where he or she does not have access to good teachers, follows it up in a particular manner, in many ways is much better than a Delhi student scoring 90%. Often the term excellence seems to be focused on a certain set parameters or data or whatever it is. Just for example, today is Sachin Tendulkar's 40th birthday. How many of us know it is also the National Panchayati Raj Day? Very few of us, and often children know who Katrina Kaif's boyfriend or girlfriend is, rather than talk about who started the Panchayati Raj. Stephen is smiling. That's how we started the lecture in my school when we came up. Further, I am part of 4 different establishments. One, the Vidyalaya, where 90% of our students are internet savvy. We have a tribal school, public-private students whose parents are put the children, they are first generation learners supported by the government of Gujarat. Fourthly, we have the Institute of Vocational Excellence where we again train tribal children for industry-specific vocational trades, be it mason, be it electrician, be it plumber. All four have very different parameters of excellence. And just now, a few minutes before, when the last panel discussion was happening, I got an email from somebody saying that the 7th pay commission will be announced in the next few months. Life would be very interesting. And very, very interesting. All the private partners would have very nervous twitches with all kinds of questions being asked. So we come back, we'll just only focus on that part which we are all talking about, teacher excellence. How do we do it? Do we get teachers? That's I think we are all pretty much agreed upon. B.Ed is bad, everything is right. Let's come down to how do we get them to the context of excellence we all want as leaders, as principals, as educators.
Yes, but Colonel Shekhar...
I'll just finish it here.
No,
when
when you're talking about excellence, let's look at it on a much broader plane.
Yeah.
And not, I mean, excellence in a school, I'd like to hear what other people have to say. Is it only to be something that you're going to compare with teachers? Or what are the components of a school that you would like to bring in when you talk about excellence?
I'm just putting it there and throwing it up. So often the focus is limited to teacher training and whatever else and how it comes down to context. There are huge number of contexts, and as I sit to the right of him, he has had a wonderful slide put on. The way excellence is defined is with several parameters, and often these parameters, as we look at them stand alone without the integrity of the holistic nature of it, simply does not work. My own question, often I am confused, how do you define excellence in a scholastic context? Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, excellence in a school or scholastic context. So, who would like to?
Shall I put it up?
Yeah.
Thank you, Colonel Saab. It's right you. But the problem is, are we having teachers or gurus? Now, there's a big difference between a teacher and a guru. If we have good gurus, then we are going to actually leave a mark in the society, number one, which is very difficult to find in the world, but we do have. If we have good gurus, they will follow you. The second thing what we should look forward is that generally, if we are able to give the two aspects of the life which we have been missing at the moment, which many schools have missed it out, that's called the moral lessons. Nowadays, the moral values have gone down. If we give that values to our kids, and the personality development classes can kind of think to the child, we are now looking forward not only to the academics, we are looking forward for the overall development. These are the two areas. If a school works out, it will give a better image of the child, which purely comes out of it, and it's going to give you what a child is. This is a small submission I want to give on to how we can create an excellence to the schools. We are having this book.
Thank you. Anyone else who wants to jump in?
Shall I start? Yeah. Excellence.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am Colonel V.K. Gaur from Manavachna International University. These words, I think today semantics, excellence, materialism, values. I think anybody who speaks from the platform, unless he makes mention of these words, he thinks he has not done justice to the job. We are talking too big, forgetting that if you look after the paisas, rupees are automatically looked after. But if you start looking after the rupees, forgetting the paisas, I think you are on the wrong path. excellence, when we say, even if we per se take it for discussion's sake, is accountability. It is not that. Because schools today, I'm very sorry to say, because I have very different views on this, schools have become factories. How many students we have produced who have gone to IITs, how many to NITs, how many to this profession, how many to this profession? Does any school boast that we have sent 10 students to NDA, IMA? Your excellence means only that what converts into money. And this is the sad state of affairs today at the highest level, at the macro level in the country. We are all very happy when we have a look at the index Sensex in the evening, or when we once in a while have a look in the newspaper, oh, the GDP has gone now 6.8. Well, ultimately what are we achieving? It's if you have a jobless growth, what is the point of that growth in the country? 2% of our students today, all streams combined, are that you can claim their skills. India has only 2% skilled workforce as compared to 96%.
I know, I mean, this is a matter of great concern for the entire country. But you know, now that we are all aware of this problem, but how would the excellence in education or excellent schools, how do you think it can give an answer? So yeah, basically, what do we need in our education system?
The answer is very much within us. We all know it.
I mean, we Indians
we are such learned people in India. We are not people from the West or people from forwards. I think all of you will agree with that. Excellence will be there if you concentrate on Adhyan, Adhyapan, Abhyas and Vyavahar.
So
if the teachers can concentrate and if that thing comes into your behavior, because whatever I have gathered from the books, if I put it here, which generally is the case, it is the same potential energy which has been taken out from the book and put here. Unless I make efforts or the school authorities makes effort, the so-called excellence is in converting the potential energy which is put here into kinetic energy.
So I mean,
and that is what called application. And today you must all learned people must have read in the newspaper that 25% of our engineers are employable, 75% even are not employable.
So what would he has brought up some very important factors.
I just put my point of view. India as a whole country is a victim of excellence, because excellence means IIM, IIT and administrative services. This is unfortunate. Right? Only few, not only 2% are studying in IIT.
I just want to...
And per student cost in IIM and IIT.
I just want
can
to
we
just
seconds. Come back? You know, today we are talking actually for school, in school education.
Madam, 10 seconds. 10 se I just want to steal 10 seconds. This so-called excellence, is, are we only concerned with those 10,000 students of plus?
No, we are actually today's discussion. See, I think we should. No, Colonel Saab, we should have our...
because our excellence today is confined to certain parameters.
So what parameters should be? So let's discuss about what are the parameters we need to look at and how you will use them.
I'm sorry. If you drive to the top of the hill in Faridabad by Surajkund and you go by the schools in your area, and I will not name them, there is a signboard outside that is 10 feet tall and 15 feet wide that says, our school got this many students into IIT, Itane Utane, and you know who the schools are. So that answers your question. I'm now going to talk about, I'm going to bring it back because my point is that we have to see that where we're pointing the fingers. What I'm going to say here is I'll address your point of Svadhyay, which I subscribe to very much. I'm going to talk in schools and practical. You said practice. Now I'm going to tell you what we do at Jiva Public School. Every single morning when our children come to school, we have our morning prayer and our activities. For the first 15 minutes of the day is given to what we call SOE, self, others, environment. And we do Svadhyay. Every student with the other students talks about what good deeds he's done, what problems he's facing. They have a separate copy in which they write the night before any of the thoughts that they have, and that's called Svadhyay. At the end of our day, we have 5 minutes saved that all students will stop what they're doing. They will get into meditative. They want eyes open, eyes closed. They will breathe, and they must then think about and reflect on their day, what they did that was right, what they did that was wrong, what they can do that's better. Yesterday I shared some techniques that I said were my best kept secrets. These are my best kept secrets because if you keep doing it again and again and again and again, it turns into practice. And that will actually bring the type of things that you are alluding to. I now would just like to add my point. This was just a small reflection on what Sir has said because I believe he's right. I'm here 20 years also trying to make these changes, and I found out I agree with him 100%. It all starts inside here. I'll take this word excellence. What does it mean literally? It is a Latin word coming from celos, which means to rise high, to go lofty. Ex means out of. So it means to rise high out of something. Now you can see it from 2 dimensions. You can see it that our school has risen high. But you can see it from the internal perspective from within that I individually have risen high myself. My belief is that the school and the institute cannot rise high until first the individuals themselves rise high. You first rise high, we rise high, our school will rise high. My small belief in how you rise high comes down to one very, I'll call it a story or a joke, if you'll permit. 2 men walk into a restaurant. And the first man, they sit down and he says, the waiter comes over, he says to him that, sir, we would like 2 glasses of water. I've told this once before. The waiter says, okay, and he starts to walk away. And then one of the men says, oh, and by the way, clean glass. The waiter comes back after a few minutes. He says, here's the 2 glasses of water. And which one of you wanted the clean glass? Now, what is the meaning of this? Why am I telling this joke? The reason is this, that this waiter obviously does not have that quality or propensity for service. He's the wrong guy in the wrong job. In the same way that each one of us here, every single child in our schools has a propensity for something. And originally the way the Vedic education used to be, and I'll say this as an Angrez, and this is why I'm in this country, because this is the country that has this knowledge that my country in America does not have. This is why I'm here.
Yes, and
as he said, the teachers used to very clearly identify the nature of the children, find out which direction they should go. Then they would decide whether you should go to IIT or whether you should go to hospitality school. So my conviction, if I can say my last sentence, is that my belief in how do we get excellence is we find out what is the nature of the child. We analyze that over the years. We make him reflect with his parents. We get him on the right path. When we do that, when he gets into his job as an engineer or as a waiter or as a doctor, he will treat people from his heart. Excellence will start from within and everybody will rise high as a result. My submission, thank you.
In fact, you brought out something very, very important.
May I add on to what he's saying?
Yeah.
I have actually the same thing that he's saying is that if you are able to analyze where is the child needs to progress from where he is. The child may be at a D grade, but if he has over intervention, whatever interventions have been given to the child, having seen his data of say a quarter or something, if the interventions have made him progress from D to a C1 or a C2, there is definitely an improvement on what he has done. So are we working in actual classroom? Yes, I am doing it in my school. Every child is using a tool which is able to make a difference to his learning, and the teacher is able to see that the data is existing for the teacher to mentor what the teacher can help. Where can the teacher help the child? It is not about excellent for A graders. It's even for an excellent for the child who's at the E grade. How E grade a child can move to maybe a B grade, that's itself is a tremendous whatever graph that you want to reflect on. Is the child getting engaged to learning? Is the child having sufficient whatever the requirement? How does the teacher individual know? I will just like to tell you, this is a company called a Target company, which a father went and sued the company. Why? because for the simple reason that the father sued the company saying, how do you know my daughter is pregnant? I don't know my daughter is pregnant. All Target did was to customize the behavior and to, route the data of the behavior pattern. Now the world is moving towards individualized
Anita ji,
customization.
but what
Why
we-
not the student in the class?
Yeah, you
Why
see-
not personalize
see
the
that,
education for him?
See, the very premise of any education should be that there is no child who's a failure. You know, if they fail later on in life, it's because you,
Ma'am, but
me,
are we
or
doing it? I'm doing it in my school.
No, but see, the whole idea here is about not you or me. It's about how collectively we can come
so
up
the
with
tool
an
can be
idea.
collectively adopted for each and every millions of students of
No,
our
let's
school.
have. Let's also see what the others have to say. What are the best practices we have in other schools?
Ma'am, excuse me, I just want to add in that excellence lies in the mind of the student. Every student is excellent. This is
In
duty of
different-
teacher.
in
This is
different
a duty of
ways,
teacher
in
to
different
recognize
ways.
and certify that. This is a duty of teacher to recognize and certify that. And without autonomy in teachers, you cannot achieve excellence.
That is true. You have to give
We,
trust.
the school
You have to
having
trust
more
the
rule
teachers.
and less excellence.
I think.
Excuse
What
me,
about
less
you?
rule,
You had.
better excellence.
Catch on completely going purely by the academic domain of excellence. And I was discussing the topic of technology in excellence. So when you're talking about catering to each child, that is one thing that's very close to, I think, every educationist, that every child is different, his aptitude is different, and therefore we can leverage it very differently. My thought is that technology is one of the things that can augment this learning. I'm not against what he was talking about, the traditional school. It has its huge benefits, and I'm never going to be, none of us can actually go away from it, but technology also is able to augment a lot of it. It produces children who can work at their own pace. It gives them that flexibility. So there are a lot of programs which teachers, at least in a lot of schools today, teachers are able to create themselves, because there's a lot of technology available for teachers to create these kind of things themselves. And today in better schools, or I would say more of the private schools and the progressive schools, the teachers are enabled and motivated and trained. Sorry?
Effective schools, all right. See, there are, no.
Not
No.
factory schools. I'm talking of progressive schools.
It needn't be factory schools.
I'm talking of progressive schools. Progressive schools where they have given the, like ma'am just spoke about, the flexibility of being able to autonomously create things. So there is this where, IT can augment that kind of learning. And one of the slides that in the previous presentation that showed was, if we teach children, like, I wouldn't like to use the word teach. I don't use teach for a teacher in school, but I call them facilitators. If we facilitate learning like it was done yesterday, then we are not preparing them for the future. And tomorrow, we want them to be better thinkers, problem solvers, and of course, viably be employable. So, and that, I think, technology is one thing that we cannot divorce ourselves from. Though much of us as school heads would think that, technology doesn't have a space here, but in the previous session, we always felt, I thought...
No, I think...
I think, the whole part which is coming, there are 9 speakers, and we have 19 different views and angles.
what about, I think we haven't heard any...
Ma'am, can I get an opportunity to speak, ma'am?
I think let's listen to his point of view now.
Koteshwar. I had a school in Bangalore. This is the second year of operations. The Matra Academy. This is from a group called People's Education Society, PS group. I'm very new to education. Just 2 years in education. Before that, I was in corporate. All my life, I've lived with competition, and I love competitions. And so when we started the school also, we had this, dilemma of my investor came and told me, come out with an excellent school. The goal is very simple. 5 years I'm going to give you. The school has to be excellent. So I did go through the definition. So one of the definition, as you said, was does something in surplus. Now, what is it? Should we focus on students? Should we tell that the student who's going to come out of a school is the best student in Bangalore? Should I tell the teacher who's working in my school is the best teacher available in Bangalore? So that everybody poaches my teachers. Or should I say that the infrastructure, the word which I liked was space for learning, is the best in Bangalore because I'm catering to a set of parents who want their kids in these kind of environment. I'm not talking about a global issue here. I'm talking about catering to a very specific requirement of Bangalore right now. So when we started this, we decided student outcome is what we're going to focus on. Now, what is student outcome? We can have a debate on that. You know, is it IIT? Is it getting into IISc? Is it getting into science and everything else? That's a very different thing. But as a background, my background and the group's background was in higher education in science area. So we consciously made a decision and said, we're going to start from 8th to 12th. We don't want to talk about first standard kid getting into engineering or medical. But we said, if as a parent, if you think, and as a child, if you think you want to continue in science, our school will help you get there. We are very clear about it. And a lot of parents come and say, why not arts, why not commerce? We don't have the expertise to handle that. So I tell, in my school, excellence is very clearly defined based on the student outcome. So we have a goal sheet. We work with every child. If we think that the child has a potential to get into the top universities in outside India, we tell the parents and the child, and we tell them, given a choice, no child want to push himself or herself. Given a choice. So we coach the kid, we give the environment, we also make sure sometimes we have to coach the parents also. We work with the child. Now you can call it as a customized plan. So the biggest challenge we had to have was we cannot afford to have more than 20 kids in our school, in our class. Because if you have more than 20, a lot of our plans is not going to work. So we worked out with all the constraints we had, and the biggest plus we had was money was not a constraint. So if you don't have these constraints, and if you have to set up a school, excellent school, based on the outcome, we are doing that. So I think all of us have a very different problem. Mine might be a very small problem which I'm trying to target. And that is the plan we have.
Ma'am, I think everyone has its own perception about excellence in education. A technology savvy will say about technology, a value-centric school or person will say it's value-based. So we cannot bind excellence in any one definition. It has to be multiple parameters are applied. And secondly, what I mean to say is that it is a time that all the corporate schools or the private schools, this is basically they are focused upon learning to become. We are not focusing upon learning to be. What UNESCO has said. And then
I think why don't we allow the gentleman to share his thoughts.
I'm coming to it. So what I think, if you want to have an excellence, or if you want to create an excellence in education, there are few things, simple things which we can do is, one, why not every school will set up its goal? Why not a school will have its own philosophy of excellence? And then that entire teachers and the students, why not it can be percolated right to the class 1 student? Forget about engineering, medicine, or whether what he will become. Why not we think of, why not he can become a best responsible citizen?
Will the environment allow you to do that?
Sir, we have to change the environment. Therefore, we are the teachers. Yes. That is what I'm coming.
That's the question Stephen asked.
Exactly.
As we travel, we are all talking good theory. Wonderful, sir. Money, he says it doesn't have a limitation.
Yes, sir.
We all have those limitations.
Exactly. Can I answer your question?
I think...
Can I answer your question, sir?
Yeah.
Sir, actually what happens, who has created this? Who has created this? It is the school. It is the teacher. That mindset has to be changed by us. We have to change that mindset.
Societal change. Yeah.
We have to change.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I agree.
Every school can set its agenda as to what its purpose is. And just as your name, I'm sorry, Shivan. Just as Shivan has also rightly said that nobody can be great at everything. And one of the things that I've seen is that the management, whoever is the owner of the school or the key leader of the school, is going to color whatever that school becomes.
Absolutely, I agree. Yes.
That's a fine thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he should be faithful and honest to that. So
Exactly.
If that's what your strength is, if you now try to do something in arts, you're going to do it poorly. So why should you try to also do that?
Sir.
Yeah.
Here, just to answer that, often the aims and ideas are quite clear. And I come from a place where we are able to do what it is. However, the pressures, I'm not saying it is not possible. What I'm saying is the constraints within the existing system, the pulls and pressures. A parent wants this, a parent wants that, makes it difficult. How do we come out of it?
Sir, I can quote one example. I can quote few examples. Out of my 30 years of
I think,
one minute.
Sir, can you wait a minute?
Yes.
This lady has been wanting to say something for a while. Let's
So let
give
me
us a
wind, madam,
chance.
then she can continue. Let me wind with your kind permission.
Half a minute,
Just
30
one-
seconds.
Yes. One thing is that out of my 30 years of my professional careers, 20 years I was in career guidance and application. Now I am a school principal. As a school principal, whenever students want, parents want, I reach to them. Okay, then when I took up as a principal of that school, I have decided my philosophy, what I want my school to be.
Yeah,
Where the student, it is
exactly
not
like
about
him.
career, it is not about education. Most of you might be doing that.
Okay, yeah, all right. I understand. We take your point. I mean,
Sure,
a
ma'am.
school fixes on its own philosophy. Now let's hear from her.
I,
Come on.
my name is Kavita Das, and I come from a very different school actually that you're talking about. Mine is a mission school, which is part of a conglomeration of schools worldwide. We're about 600 schools, which goes back through 200 years now in education. For us, education is not about achieving in terms of marks. Yes, we are catering for the job market. We can never forget that. Children have to earn. Eventually, they have to support families. But I think we can also not lose sight of the fact that we are creating the fabric of society. We are the founders of society. And if we take our children on a straight path which says only achieve marks, only to get a job, then we are losing sight of what education is all about. We are forgetting that education is dealing with children as human beings. If we take the heart out of education, if we forget that there are millions out there who are very poor, who need to be educated, and they have to be integrated into our schools, only then are we going to not reach a situation which we are fast coming to in our country, where we're going to have another French Revolution on our hands. We have to start bringing in these kids into our schools, and we have to start integrating them, not treating them as separate members of society who are to be dealt with in separate classes. So schools need to start widening their perspectives and not only catering for the haves of society, but start looking at the have-nots. If we don't do that, are we really
Very
educational?
good point. I think we should give a hand for that.
And I think this is a very relevant point, and it's where the discussion should go. We are all talking here about the privileged schools, really, but 85% of our young children are in government schools where they have large numbers. You can't really blame the teachers. I mean, they cannot counsel the way that we are doing it in the idealistic way. So when you're talking about excellence in education, you have to think about how that upliftment will happen. And how is it that you're going to reach out there? So what are the parameters of excellence have to take that entire vision into account. We can't only talk about our school or, you know, a small this thing. You have to look at it in a much larger kind of perspective. And I think my neighbor here has been wanting to say something for a while.
Henry Jaikaran, Principal of Gateway, the complete school in Chennai. Good evening, panelists. It's a very heated discussion. Actually, as such, we are a little moving out of the topic that we have chosen, excellence in education. But I rightly agree with most of you that there should be a paradigm shift from the way we run schools. Managements of different areas must look into it. Suppose a parent wants a child to become a violinist. Why not you open a school for violin particularly? Right? And that is what A.R. Rahman, our musician, has done in Chennai. He has opened a school for music where he trains children into music. So for such specific areas, for arts, for literature, for all that, if there are separate schools, then the country will be benefiting. Bringing not only engineers and doctors all the time, not only aiming at IIMs, IITs, there are various other areas. If a batsman wants to play much better than Tendulkar, or for the matter, Chris Gayle, and all the time you're concentrating on batting, why nobody concentrates on bowling? Is there anybody taking 6 wickets and 6 balls? Nobody is going to that. If a time will come when sports organizations promote education in that way, there will be mechanisms to do that. What I want to emphasize is on talent based. Each child has got a potential talent in him. If you identify the talent and push him to such schools where his talents can be fostered by the upbringing of parents and teachers and the management responsible for that, then the country will produce more better human beings. And because of that, because they pursue their selected areas, the child will turn out to be an excellent human being, in fact.
Actually, the way the discussion is going, there's something that I think we should take up is, though it's a cliched term, it's very relevant. What is holistic education? Excellence that we talk about has to be around that, whether it's in a government school or whether it's in a private school. So what is this holistic education? What is it that we can do about it? How do we perceive it? I think it'll be nice if we can spend a little time talking about that now.
And can I just take half a minute?
On this holistic?
Yeah, on holistic only. You see what some of the learned panelists have said, I just want to reconfirm that. Kavita mentioned it, somebody else also. The thing is this, that today the whole emphasis of education is on students who can't get high marks. Civil society downgrades them, their parents say, "Ye to nalaik hai, you only got 60%, things like that. So I think the holistic education, when we talk of holistic education, and this is something which Steve also directed attention yesterday to all the audience about, what are your likes and dislikes. I just like to add to this, how do we get it? You see, in Europe today, in the European Union, they start enterprise skills education from class 1, which is really a minor form of entrepreneurship. You don't have to be an MBA to start, to start a enterprise. Now that is missing, and we can give you the curriculum free of cost if you want, because we work with a lot of NGOs, and a lot of this has been developed.
I think no.
That is one.
Can we make it more general and not specific?
Good evening, everyone. Firstly, talking about the topic is excellence in school education.
From the holistic point of view is what we are looking at now.
Yeah, you see, first of all, I go to a more basic this thing. What is the objective of school education?
Okay.
You see, we were a group of friends. We were deliberating upon where we are leading to. What ultimately is objective of school education. So while we were talking about these stated guy, and over very, very, small issue, he entered into an argument with a waiter. Fine. And unmindful of the fact that, there were around 40, 50 families, children, ladies sitting there, he started using very rough language, and he was even abusive. And the waiter was, sorry sir, he, exhibited a lot of patience. Sorry sir, take care, take care. But this chap, was like shouting that you don't know me, who I am, all these kind of things. So, that episode left us wondering that, what kind of, education we are providing. Was that gentleman, who seemed to be educated, was really educated, or what was that waiter, who exhibited a lot of patience and, lot of culture, if like,
who was educated?
If I may ask all of you, if there are two boys, of the same age group, presented before you, one of them is schooled, he has studied in a good high-end school, he's passed through a good school, and one of them has never been to a school. All right. If two of them are standing before you, what will be the apparent difference between the two? Yeah, good question. Fine. How will you, unless, you ask them, to introduce themselves, blah, 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 but, just, shaking hands with them, what apparent difference, will you notice?
So what did you think was the basis of, how would you define education?
That, someone had told me, once, I don't remember, where I had learned this thing, that, generally the K-12 segment, school education is nursery, lower KG, upper KG, first to class grade 12. 15 years of school education. So, like whatever subjects we are teaching, whatever might be the board, I'll just take 1 minute to speak on excellence also later on.
If you can just hurry it up a little bit,
if
please.
you minus it from the child's personality, whatever syllabi or curriculum we have taught in all those 15 years, whatever physics, English, Hindi, SST, whatever has been taught to the child, if you minus it from child's personality at the end of those 15 years, whatever is left with the child is what education is.
I think that's a lovely, very nice definition. Thank you so much.
So we have to, delve upon, what the kind of education we are providing in the school. You see,
basically,
are we going in the right direction? So, this is more pertinent to, being talking about excellence.
So what you're really talking about is, are we creating good human beings and good citizens?
Educated illiterates?
Or are we basically good human beings?
People, the
I think, would you like to...
who had barged into the Twin Tower,
yes.
They were having no less IQ or no less intelligence.
Maybe higher.
Yeah, so I think...
we're talking about holistic now, so if I could at least in my own definition say, taking from your point, something about values and character. So I gave a specific example of how we address that through activities such as Svadhyay. This is one. The academic side, I don't think anybody is really in need of talking about because we all do that. But let's say that that's also an essential part of it. We're also not discounting that. Technology, yes, absolutely. There's an area which I think in terms of holistic education is largely underserved. And I want to share another one of what I say is I believe is one of my best kept secrets about how we're improving skills within the school. Because what I've seen in schools is that it's almost like a fish tank, where students just sit there, they're told which class to go to from class to class, they're told what they have to study, they're asked questions where the answer is already known. They never actually get to do teamwork, they never actually get to engage in open areas where they have to use their thinking to develop skills, which is why when they get out of school, companies are so frustrated because they have to retrain them from the beginning. So one of the things that we do is that we have something, and please do this if you can. Instead of just having clubs in your school, which are fixed on certain days, and then the children go and they might play chess, or they might do some sports, or debate, or something like that, we've made something in our school called teams. Now, teams here doesn't mean a specific date and time where they have to do something. It's interdisciplinary, cross-disciplinary. So, for instance, we have something called a visual team, which is meant for making the school visually more attractive. Now, how it happens and when they meet and what they do, it can happen at just about any time. But people know, including teachers, that they're on that team. And what happens is there's an emergence that happens. They self-organize and they start meeting by themselves. Why? Because the people, when I talk about RP, the people who join the visual team have strong visual intelligence and a strong creative nature. We also have assembly team. We have a hospitality team. So people who are providing by nature are on that team. So this way, anytime somebody comes from outside, they just say hospitality team, they immediately jump into action and you almost don't have to tell them what to do. Intuitively, they know what to do. And so in the process, so like this, we have about 10 teams in the school. There's a disaster management team. We've got a team for morning assemblies. So like this, we have lots of teams.
So these are
check it out.
fostering collaborative and teamwork. Yes.
More holistic.
Yeah.
I think each school and each curriculum we discuss, we celebrate the day Swami Vivekananda. Swami Vivekananda, long time back, has talked of holistic education, character building. And he made a statement categorically, you give me 10 people with character, I'll shake this earth. That was the value of character as far as he is concerned. And he mentioned that for education, because each child, whether he's from a village, he's from a metro town, or from a classic city, the child is a child. His personality comprises of two parts, the external and the internal. Swami Vivekananda has quoted this, and this is very much laid out in Mundaka Upanishad. How should be the development of a child? That's what I say, we keep reinventing the wheel. We are today,
Actually, Colonel Sir, we forgot the wheel. We are actually finding the wheel now.
That's fine, that's fine. That's fine. The question is, no, that's not a matter of ridicule. The question is that we only concentrate on one aspect of the personality, that is the outer. UNESCO studies bear it on record that whatever we pick up from the books, it is only 10% of our total education from life. 90% of the education comes from the society, our parents, our neighborhood, and others. And that is where we totally neglect. You have got very good syllabus. You have got a blueprint how to prepare students for various subjects. But do the schools have the blueprint for character building of students? I don't think any school can produce, okay, this is my syllabus, this is our design for character building of students. You don't have.
You have to.
Pardon, sir?
You can only model it. Teaching character education.
No.
That's something which
that is
has a difference of
You can have activities in the school that foster such values.
There's a height of irony. Years ago, about 20 years ago when I first came here, there used to be a subject called moral education.
Yeah.
And because it wasn't a board class, so it used to be internally marked. So what would happen was that the teachers used to leak the paper so they could get higher marks.
But actually you also, but Colonel Saab, you also need to look at the current current generation of children who don't like to be dictated to. You know, if you go to a classroom and say moral education, they'll all switch off. You have to find ways of including it in the curriculum that the children are able to absorb and imbibe
Ma'am, I
and,
think
you know,
we
be
need
effective.
to go beyond that.
Ma'am, if
May
I may,
I think the gentleman next to you, he hasn't had a time to speak. I would like to hear what he has to say. Let's give him an opportunity to speak now.
Actually, ma'am, we are talking about holistic. In Panve's have been emphasis on H, that is head. The point which we should be thinking about is, I think is why the 70 pieces is putting in a suitcase.
That's exactly what he brought up. Yes.
Education means it's not just writing at school and getting a job.
Yes.
And we emphasizing on to other things as well. That will be holistic.
I think actually, let me tell you, holistic start. It has already given us Bunyadi Talim in the best way. Bunyadi Talim. I'll just have to share
Thank you so much. Ma'am, I think most of the thoughts which came to me have been spoken by one of the other panelists. What I was basically wanting to say was that when we're talking of excellence in students and teachers, we need to actually motivate them to excel. And when we say excel, it doesn't necessarily mean only the best student out of a certain class or the best student in the school. Each of those students can excel in the field that they choose to. That is one very important factor which each student must be, kind of motivated to excel. And these days, when I compare, excellence between maybe countries, I was recently at a place outside India where I saw some 2 or 3 people trying to clean a floor which already looked clean to me. And I just went there and saw what they were trying to do. So what they were trying to do was that they were trying to clean these places in between the tiles, because that is the place, which gets dirty. Otherwise the tiles remain clean. Now that is what excellence is all about. It's the attitude which matters. This was in Japan, and it was in an educational summit that we saw that. So I took a few principles to show them what was going on. And you would never talk about this in India. So it's basically the attitude which you need to have. You can excel in cleaning the floor. You can excel in whatever you do. So each one of your students can excel. That is one part of excellence. That is what I was wanting to say. So we needn't, look at only the best student.
That's a nice definition. Excellence is cleaning between the tiles. That should be that should be how we should tweet that out on this board. Hashtag.
So in short, we should empower the students. Empowerment is what is, I think, will be the.
That is one part of it.
Yeah.
And the second part of it is that in the society today we find a lot of mediocrity going on and succeeding. So the question is, what is the incentive to excel? Do we have an incentive to excel at all? We are in a society where mediocrity, or even people who are not even mediocre, succeed in life.
Society will always be normally distributed.
No. That's not it. That's not it. I was talking about
and a respect and a dignity of labor. And this is also what I see. I'm sorry to say, I have a lot of love, that everybody who knows me, and I also have my own criticisms of things in here. One of the things that I have seen is dignity of labor is not always there.
Absolutely.
We have to see that person who is actually cleaning between those tiles, that he has the same amount of value as the principal of that school. There's no difference between them. The work might be different.
I think there might be somebody who succeeded in life by using wrong means. I would say that the person who sweeps my road outside my house and on the roads that I travel on, I see that person earning his, making his bread out of hard work. I feel that person is more respected, should be respected higher.
Equally respected.
And equally respected, no, more respected than the person who's attained success by wrong means.
Okay, yes, of course. I thought you meant it.
Good evening, one and all present here. I'm Dr. Krishnamacharya, Principal Vidya Gopal School, Meerut. what remains with us after forgetting everything. Many great scientists, great players, they were thrown out of the schools. Okay? And the schools, they don't tap the potential of the learner. What I feel the educational excellence is tapping the potential of the learner and encouraging them towards their goals and success. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. I am Muhammad Zulkarnain, coming from Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. We are running a school, or a couple of schools, so to say. It's a Knowledge Base International School, and it's a British curriculum, and another CBSE curriculum with the Taqwa International Schools. Excellence, as has been rightly pointed out, that it should combine the quality education with character education. Let me here quote from Einstein. Most people say that it is intellect that makes a great scientist. They are wrong. It's character. Character should be there. And if we are not teaching character in the school, there is no other place to teach them there. So holistic education has to do this. I am very happy to see this document prepared by NCERT, Education for Values in Schools. It's a wonderful document. They have put on everything that needed to be said here and how this can be implemented. It's very recent, only last year, November, it was introduced. And we are yet to see that how they are going to implement it. It's a very interesting thing that to be seen.
It's often an area where we make our mistakes. If you empower, if you are willing to take those risks and accept a certain amount of failure onto yourself, perhaps the path towards excellence for a very low self-esteem teacher, student, parent would be a lot easier. That's one. The second aspect, I would simply define what is holistic education. At the end of citizen of India means everything,
Citizen
period.
of the world, maybe we should look
I
at
would
it.
say in the Indian context, citizen of India, I wouldn't go beyond that. That's for Steve, and that's the point. Thirdly, empowerment, a simple example. We had a presentation for a new school to be brought up. The presentation was made by the teachers. The film on the school was made by the students, scripted by the students, including class 3, 4 students. And I went there with the presentation. Fortunately, we succeeded. But my trustees were real scared when we started. So the point what I'm trying to mention is, if you empower our people around with a certain amount of freedom, perhaps the term excellence would be better understood in the context they come from. Thank you.
Okay. This will be a final comment before we start winding
I
up.
think education is made up primarily of intangibles. But the one intangible I feel we haven't touched on, and which we need to recognize, is the need to imbibe spirituality in our children. If we don't give them a sense of God and of a creator, and of the responsibilities that creator gave us when he put us in charge of this earth, then I think we've really failed as educationists.
Thank you. Yeah, actually, but the Eastern education has a strength of spirituality. And I think the best education system would be when we can marry both together. I think then, and I think India is best poised to bring that about, because the spiritual depth is already like an unborn seed somewhere within us. I also would like to tell all of you that it's not impossible to start a school without focusing on results. When I started Sanskriti school, the first promise I made to myself was that every child who enters this school will be important to me, and I'm not interested whether he's getting 100% or whether he's getting a 50%, but I would be interested in his being a good human being. And people told me your school will fail, because nobody will come to you because you're not looking at results. But I can tell you, within a span of 1 year, we became a school to be reckoned with. Because there are parents out there who would like their children to be good human beings. but they can't say it because the peer pressure is there. So I think if educationists band together as a cohort and move in the right direction, I don't think it's a very bleak future. Generally, it's been a very high focus discussion where we have mentioned that multiple parameters are there. It's very difficult to really define excellence in one word or one sentence. But one thread that's come all the way through from everybody is that basically education must be, the foundation has to be character building. The foundation has got to be focused on values. Maybe different schools use different methodologies, different strategies, but ultimately, like different religions lead to the same summit. The summit that we need to look at is the good human being. Anyway, thank you very much on behalf of the organizers. I think we have had a very robust discussion, a lot of disagreement. Disagreements make any discussion lively. It will be boring otherwise. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ms. Gauri Ishwaran, for giving a very good conclusion to the entire session, keeping the discussion, not letting it getting off track, and making the discussion so fruitful, keeping it channelized. So thank you, ma'am. I thank you all the speakers for taking out their time and keeping patience and being a part of World Education Summit. I request all the speakers to kindly come in the front for a group photograph. Miss, a group photograph, please. To Miss Anita Dua, Principal of Delhi Public School. Lieutenant Colonel Retired A. Shekhar, Principal of Atul Vidyalaya, Gujarat. Thank you so much, sir. For the last 2 days, you've been asking very interesting questions. To Mr. Shivanand R. Koteshwar, Director of the Amatra Academy, Karnataka. Thank you, sir. To Mr. Henry Jayakaran, Principal, Gateway the Complete School, Tamil Nadu. Thank you, Mr. Jayakaran. To Dr. M.V. Krishnamachari, Principal of Vidya Global School, Meerut. Thank you, Dr. Krishnamachari. To Dr. Rajiv Kumar Chauhan, Principal of Sir Padampat Singhania Education Center. To Ms. Shanti Menon, Principal of the Dean's Academy, Bangalore. Thank you, Ms. Menon. Thank you so much, ma'am. To Mr. Sunil Srivastav, Principal, Kids Kingdom Public School. To Ms. Kavita Das, Principal of St. John's High School. Virendra Rawat, mentor of Green Education, Ahmedabad. Green Education mentor, Mr. Virendra Rawat. Thank you, sir. To Mr. Aniruddha Gupta, CEO of DCM Group of Schools. We are left with two more speakers, that is Mr. Stephen Rudolph and Colonel V.K. Gaur. Sincere apologies to both the speakers. We have, for the time being, run short of the speaker mementos. I know that, sir, but no. Sir, let me finish. The speaker mementos shall be sent to you. The speaker mementos shall be sent to both of you. Thank you so much, Mr. Rudolph, and thank